Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, what's your current battery percentage on your phone right now?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, we're looking at about 82%.
Okay, that's not bad. I always charge mine like when I'm in my car moving around, so that keeps it at a pretty good place. But let's be honest, nothing's more obnoxious than a low battery.
Yeah.
When it gets depleted fast and you can't do stuff on it. But it's also not as important for our phones, like maybe you don't get to watch the latest YouTube video.
Compared to
get on social media or, text somebody that moment compared to if you're in an enterprise situation.
Yes.
And you're using like a mobile computer or a laptop.
Doing some mission critical stuff.
Barcode scanner. You're doing, important stuff to keep your business afloat every day and the batteries start conking out. That's a little bit annoying. That's a bigger challenge.
It's annoying. Yeah.
So today we are talking to Rob Cass and Danny Rockett from GTS. They are battery experts.
Yes, they are battery experts.
About this whole phenomenon. If you think, well, it's just batteries, whatever, but battery health is pretty, like you said, it's pretty critical. It's mission critical. You got to keep this stuff up and running. So they're going to talk to us a little bit about why, obviously, it's so important to have good battery health. What happens when you get a dead battery? What makes the batteries deplete so fast? We're going to talk about, how you can make some money off of batteries.
We like that idea, right?
We're pretty big fans of that kind of stuff.
Keep your customers happy.
Keep your customers happy. Right? Gives you a nice connection point with your customers on a regular basis.
All right.
And then we're going to get into a little bit of discussion about custom battery manufacturing, which is something GTS does.
I'm unaware of these
I am too.
This is awesome.
I'm kind of excited about that.
There you go.
Okay. So that's it. We're all about the batteries today, which you've talked about batteries a lot on the show. You're always talking about like what's the latest
technology
in battery care.
Yes.
All that plus our usual value to the VAR. What's TEConnecting with us? It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, as I mentioned, we have two fantastic guests with us today.
We do.
First up, we've got Rob Cass. He is the director of channels for GTS. Rob, welcome to the show. Tell us a little about yourself, your background, and how'd you get into the world of batteries?
Well, thank you, John. I've been in the business for 7 years now. I started out in technology and in a similar role to some of your agents, representatives on the phone. And I was with Micro Warehouse. And so I developed my acute, my play on technology. Actually started with network infrastructure. And then 7 years ago, as things happen, I was with Avaya, and they split off their networking practice over to Extreme, and I found myself looking around, and there was GTS. So it's been an interesting ride all the way along. We do manage worldwide distribution, and BlueStar has, as you're aware, a European faction. And so I just basically have grown into, having known the channel for quite some time, grown into this role, and I'm very pleased to be here. And we love BlueStar, by the way. I mean, you guys you're so easy to work with, and it's a pleasure doing business with you.
Oh, we appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Next up is Danny Rockett. He is the VP of Manufacturing and Technology for GTS. Danny, same for you. Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about your background, too.
Thank you, sir. I have been in the battery industry for longer than I can kind of remember. I hate to say how long, but it's been 45 years.
Wow. There you go.
I tend to date myself. But anyway, I started my career with General Electric a long time ago, and that was with the battery department down in Gainesville, Florida. And from there, I moved into more of design, battery design, application engineering, and manufacturing, and set up operations around the world in Mexico, also in Asia, and also in the U.S. Have have seen a lot of battery manufacturing around the world and how they do things. And I joined GTS about 18 years ago and managed the manufacturing side of our business and also the engineering side of our business. So plugged into the technical side very, very closely and also the manufacturing side. So there's probably not a battery out there that I haven't seen before or at least know how it works.
There we go. We got the
Could
expertise.
we have better representation of
I don't think
battery
so.
technology?
Nope. I think we got what we need here.
Yep.
All right. Well, then let's get into it. Let's start talking about battery health here. And, as I was kind of joking at the top of the show, no one likes dead batteries,
right.
And when it happens on our devices, we all get frustrated.
Well, because it runs the world kind of a thing. So, when the battery goes out,
and,
everybody gets a little frustrated.
You've got a battery vehicle now at this point.
Right,
it's that stuff's important. But obviously, again, when we talk about enterprise and we talk about the mobile devices in particular that a lot of enterprises are out there using, and the usage has been steadily increasing over the years, that battery health becomes even more critical to their day-to-day operations. So let's talk about that. Let's explain why. Why do you think quality batteries are so important? Beyond just the hey, we don't like it when something goes down, but how does it important to the safety and to the day-to-day operations? What happens when someone has a bad battery that they're using in their devices? And then, what kind of things are actually going on that are making these batteries deplete so quickly?
Well, there are a number of things, and Danny will cover that, but I'd like to just say that we look at batteries probably differently than most. A lot of people who are device users think of a battery when they don't have one. And that's a problem. So what we do is we try to create this communication between the BlueStar people and the VARs and the end users, so that they're aware of the life cycle of a battery from cradle to grave. And we handle all of the aspects of service from cradle to grave. So for instance, we recommend forecasting, and that certainly is entwined with budget, and then properly communicate to our supply chain so that we can close the gap, which is 8 to 10 weeks sometimes from manufacturer in Taiwan, which we have our manufacturing facility there, free and democratic Taiwan, I should say. And so to fill that gap, we look at batteries more like just electricity. We like to have you be able to plug it in and the cord disappears. It takes cooperation and communication to do that. We do have a support, and one of the things that we're doing is somewhat manual, but we have tags that we put on our batteries, and then when that battery goes out there, you can't really see it that well, but they're different colors, and a color represents a year, and then there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 on each of the colors, which represents a quarter. And once you have that system in play, you can determine what batteries are starting to get old and long in the tooth, and maybe you can set them aside or take them off your frontline operation. And that's just the line of sight system. We have other methods as well, but we feel that this is important to make sure that people aren't stuck with, oh my God, I don't have a battery anymore. What am I going to do? And then you have that 8 to 10 week gap that we try to stay ahead of, and with inventory that BlueStar has. And I mentioned too that we do have our warehouse in West Palm Beach, and we have backup batteries sitting there, and BlueStar just needs to call us up and we'll drop ship anywhere.
Well, add a little levity to that. Battery health, it all depends. It depends on the usage factor. It depends on the user. It depends on the environment. It depends on the application that you're using that battery in. And let me give you some examples. If you are a heavy user of batteries, and that means you're out there scanning 8 hours or 6 hours a day or more, you want that battery to last that length of time. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They will if they're designed properly and you have the capacity there to meet the needs of that scanning. They will not if they're older. If something is wrong with them, they have been abused or something of that nature. So first of all, it depends on the application. Battery health is also dependent upon the age of that battery. Batteries do age even if you're using them or you're not using them, if they're sitting on the shelf. If they're parked in a charger, they tend to age a little faster than normal. So battery age is really dependent on how you use that battery and the application that you're using. Battery health from a manufacturer standpoint is I'm going to warranty 400 cycles or 500 cycles. And what that means is you're going to charge this battery fully. You're going to discharge it down to basically zero, the floor as we call it, and then you're going to charge it back up again. That's a full cycle. But typically batteries don't always get a full cycle. They get partial cycles, which is kind of good for its health. But in general, the usage factor depends on how you're charging and how you're discharging, how you store that battery, how you charge that battery or park it into a charger. All that has to come into play. So that's why it really depends on the application and usage factor. A battery that's not good for a high user could be very good for a low user. In other words, the capacity has been depleted down to a certain level. It still is able to be used in an application where it's not used as much. So maybe they're scanning 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. That perfectly is a battery is perfectly acceptable in that application, whereas it's not in the application over here where it's used continuously throughout that day. So from a battery health standpoint, there's a lot of factors that have to go into that. Batteries age because of the chemical nature of them. The chemical processes inside, they age, and therefore they just can't generate the capacity. Abuse comes into play. Maybe the battery has been shorted. Maybe it's set into a hot car like your cell phone does occasionally. That will deplete and degrade the battery tremendously. And of course, just the calendar age. Typically, I have seen batteries that might be good 5 and 6 years down the road if they haven't been used and they've been stored properly. But if they haven't been stored properly in a controlled environment with the humidity and also temperature, then they're going to age much faster. So again, that's why I say it really depends.
Let's go into the safety factor, because I think that's an important one here. We certainly see it out in the field where maybe the genuine battery or is replaced with a substandard, a battery of
a copycat kind
like
of
a copycat or something like that, just because of price,
right?
For lack of anything else. But that can really have a negative impact based on the safety, right? Maybe they're getting a battery that isn't the right voltage, or the manufacturing is somewhat suspect. Danny, could you comment on that a little bit? I mean, right, having the wrong battery can have a safety impact on the usage.
It certainly can. And the first step in all that is you have to start out with safe building blocks. And the building block of a battery is, first of all, the cell. Do you want to use tier 1 cells, or do you want to use tier 3 or tier 4 that might have been wound manually on someone sitting on an orange crate or something of that nature that has no quality, very little liability, no longevity to it? So you have a very broad range of cells that you could use to put into a battery pack. GTS uses tier 1 cells for their batteries. So we don't have to worry about the performance of that battery nor the safety of that battery. And when I say safety, I mean a cell has a lot of energy stored in it when it's fully charged. And you do not want to be around one when it is not behaving properly. And we call that in the industry rapid disassembly. And you do not want
that sounds
to be
like a perfectly good engineering term. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Danny.
Like it.
Rapid disassembly.
Exactly. So that's the first building block of a good battery product. The second is the BMS that's inside that. Every lithium battery, whether it's phosphate or whether it's lithium ion, from a rechargeable battery standpoint, has a BMS in it. That controls the charging going into it. the charge going out of it, and also abuse situations. So if your BMS is not good, if it hasn't been designed properly, if it's not designed for the particular charger that you're using from a voltage standpoint or a current standpoint in the application, that is a concern. The third building block is the mechanical packaging of that battery. How do you put those cells in there? What kind of strapping do you use? Do you use wires? Do you use flex circuits? Is it all hand assembly? Or do you try to use a flex circuit that is easily assembled to the battery and it has safety components on that flex circuit to limit the amount of current and energy that you can get out of that battery in an abuse situation? So those are the three building blocks. Now, also with that third building block, the mechanical side, is the plastics that go with it. GTS batteries have ULV0 material. So the plastics is molded with ULV0. If something happens to that battery, and if anyone says we've never had an issue with the battery, they're lying to you. There's always going to be an issue, okay? But it's how you contain that issue. So if you have a battery out there that has just gone into rapid disassembly and it's basically in flames and burning, you want to suppress it. We use ULV0 material that doesn't burn, so it's not adding to the flame. We also use nickel materials inside to keep the lowest resistance possible inside that battery, because you don't want to create little resistors in there that's going to create heat, and heat is a big degrading of a battery pack. So those are the kinds of things that we put into our battery to make sure it, first of all, it's assembled safely and it maintains that safety factor when it's out in the workplace.
At the end of the road, quality matters, right? Yeah. I mean, having that, which Danny just described, is, for our resellers, they need to be aware of these types of things, because I think, and we'll get into it here in just a second, there's a reason to have high quality batteries like a GTS in your arsenal and available for resale, and there's a reason why, because it's going to have an impact on your solution, right? If the customer goes and buys lower quality stuff, ultimately that it's going to have an impact on you, the reseller, whether you like it or not. Yeah, kind of a thing.
This reminds me a lot of kind of like the media conversation that we have, when it comes to printer paper and labels and stuff like that. Is
sub quality.
You might go out and sell a high quality, great product, and then they on the backside decide like, well, we're going to go cheap when it comes to whatever we need to shove into it on a recurring basis,
or
and
paper,
just go buy something random we found somewhere, and that could have caused problems. And I appreciate that Rob mentioned the idea of projecting ahead and being proactive about this stuff, because again, unlike the batteries in your smoke detector or something, you can't just go running out to the grocery store, or a local shop or whatever and pick up what you need. And by that point too, if for some reason someone locally does just happen to have these kind of batteries laying around, you're probably again looking at the potentially low quality type stuff.
That's right.
So I think it's very important to do that. Yeah. And I think that kind of leads to a little bit of our next conversation here too, which is that we know a lot of customers are delaying new device purchases. Because devices are just meant to last longer than ever at this point.
Yep.
And there might be economic issues or reasons why they're trying to get the most value they can out of whatever devices they have on hand. But obviously that still doesn't mean that the batteries are going to last that long. And it doesn't mean that VARs don't have opportunities to do something with those legacy devices. Maybe you're not getting them to upgrade to the latest and greatest RFID scanner, but maybe you could go in and have a conversation about batteries. So Rob, why do you think it's so important to support those legacy devices as they're out there for a while? And how can battery sales help keep some revenue flowing there?
Yeah, well, I'd say that the foundation of the conversation would be CapEx and OpEx. And companies are looking at somewhat of a unstable situation right now with the economy. So they might be at risk if they're spending thousands of dollars on new devices. And so we have a backup plan for that, because we have a lot of legacy batteries, and we are constantly working in the research and development team that Danny heads that is going to replace that. But typically we have around 18 months from when a device is come on the market to when they're going to need new batteries. And when I say new batteries, we do have a written warranty statement that says that we are responsible for your device as well as the battery. If our battery should harm a device at all, then we'll not only replace the battery, but we'll replace the device. Our warranty is stronger than anyone in the market, as far as I know. We have 18 months warranty on our scanner and mobile printer batteries, 2 years on our chargers, and 2 years on all of our two-way radio batteries. So we cover that base. I mean, some people are looking at batteries and saying, well, I don't want to take a chance. Like they say, you never get fired. It used to be for Cisco and maybe IBM. You never get fired for buying the OEM. And we have over 24 years experience in selling batteries. So we're on top of that. We have world-class customer service. And I've seen where over 18 months a battery goes bad and we replace it anyway. We have BlueStar's back and we have the VARs back. We communicate with the VARs as well and try to drive that point home. So
a good rule of thumb on that is there's 240 working days in a year. And if you use that battery for an 8-hour shift, obviously that's going to be 240 shifts. Now, it could be used more than that, but that's a general guideline. So therefore, 240 times 2 years gives you essentially the 500 cycles that typically cells are designed and rated to. So that's kind of where that comes from. So from Rob's standpoint, we start looking at replacing batteries at 18 months to 2 years in a high-end usage situation. You might go a little more than that in a low-end situation, but just it's a good rule of thumb. And the other thing about legacy batteries, and this is a good thing for third-party batteries to remember, is that many years ago when they came out with the first lithium-ion battery, it was rated at like 1,500 milliamp hours. Today, that same cell size is 3,600 milliamp hours. So it's more than doubled. So if you have a battery that was designed 3 years, 5 years, 10 years ago, and we redo that into today's standards, I can give you much higher capacity for your end application in the same footprint and an envelope, which is very, very good from a user out there. Now he's extended his work time or his work day much longer with a third-party battery that has been designed well, but also uses the latest and greatest technology in cells.
Nice. I mean, when you think about it, right, battery sales can keep the revenue flowing. I mean, you just tapped on it in the sense that batteries have a lifespan, as we've delineated here. So it's a consumable to a certain degree. And so that gives resellers the opportunity to go in and have those conversations. You can also have conversations around cross-selling, opportunities of other devices or other solutions and things of that nature. But it also allows you to engage your customer. If you're a reseller looking for a reason to walk in, a battery conversation is a good conversation to have. And to Rob's point, you should have, some kind of delineated plan around projections. Hey, by the way, we're projecting this battery to be, suboptimal, so we should talk about a replacement and get into that whole conversation around that. And by the way, batteries are typically a higher profit margin items as well. So you're walking in with a plan, you're engaging with your customer, you're solving for issues before they even happen, and it can be a highly profitable thing. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah. I have a feeling you walk in somewhere and ask somebody like, hey, how's the battery life going on these devices?
They're not going to know.
Either they're not going to know or it's going to be a pain point. They're going to give you a very honest answer and be like, the battery sucks. Like it's I can't even get through a day.
Very interesting point is that has been my question every time I go in to see a customer. I review the application and then I ask, how do you manage your batteries? And you do get this deer in the headlight look.
That's right. That's right.
Because they don't have a management process in place. And you really should, whether you're going by the date or when you put that battery into your manufacturing, your processes, or whether you have a tester that you use. Or maybe you look at the device, and the devices in many instances will tell you the capacity that battery can deliver. Use any of them. Just don't use nothing.
Right.
These batteries stay in the workplace. And when they stay in the workplace, especially lithium polymer, and that's the foil pouch batteries, they tend to be a highly safety issue because they swell. And when that happens, they grow dendrites, and the dendrites short. And then if they're being charged, then you get into a rapid disassembly issue. So that's a big problem. So the first question that your guys should answer when they go in there and understand the application, after they understand the application, is, what about a battery maintenance program? Can we put one in place for you? We can teach you how to do that in several different instances, several different processes and how to do that. But at least do something. Don't keep them around, because then they become a liability.
Yeah. So part of the communication that I have with the account managers at BlueStar and some of the VARs is that we build a cadence, and part of that dot system will help with the cadence. And we look at a sale from 18 to 24 months ago, and we might call up BlueStar and call up our BDM and say, please tell what so-and-so that he bought these batteries, a couple of hundred batteries a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. He should talk with the customer and say, hey, let's take a look at how your batteries are performing and whether they need some attention. And that's by the way, another segment of our service is we can provide an on-site testing through our CP tester, which is a chemical polarization test that can show what the position of a battery is and whether or not it should be taken out of production or at least put into back of the line production. That's not as crucial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that particular tester that Rob's talking about is it is developed by my group. It is app based. So your technician would have an app on his phone. It can go with any phone that's out there, and it has a tester that basically you probe the battery with. And we're not looking for impedance; we're looking for other things. We're actually putting the load on that battery and looking at the performance, how it feeds back its performance, and from there we can fail that battery or we can pass that battery as being marginal or actually a very good battery. And we do that for groups of people and companies around the country. We will go in and physically test every single battery that they've got in their system. And sometimes they want us to pull those batteries out. And that gets back to the routine of remove the old batteries from the operation so that they're no longer a liability. Put in new batteries. So now you can see that if your capacity as your battery fleet was at this level, you take those old batteries out. Now you've increased the capacity, the overall capacity a little bit, but as you add new batteries, you've increased it even more. So that really helps you out from an operation standpoint. So you can do the mechanical testing, or you can do the visual management part of it, which is the dots that Rob shows you, or just go by the date code or by some other routine that you can visually see to remove those batteries from your operation. That is key.
Yeah, and it can be so simple. It's like putting a calendar thing in your Outlook. Hey, this customer bought these, 18 months out. Just put in a little reminder. Yeah. Go have a conversation with them. Anyway, you were going to say.
Well, I mean, you talk about a great value-added service that you can offer up. To Danny's point, you know, you go and ask somebody that question, and most likely, they're going to have the deer in the headlights. It's going to be like, right. It's just a battery. When it's not working, I go get another one. That's it, right? And in reality, it could be an easily managed service that could be beneficial, could lend some credibility to you as a VAR, to be a guide and a partner and someone who's got their best interest in mind, saving them from any potential safety issues, helping them be proactive with their batteries and not have any situations where batteries are dying and they're desperately trying to get a new one, that their operations are affected in some way. This is just another example of a great way that you can lean into a value add and really make a great partner out of yourself or somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, just a couple statistics, not to throw in that. I'm always want to do that. Of
course you got those. Yes.
Battery failure is a leading cause of mobile device failure, right? Of course.
Yeah.
But on average, 74 minutes of productivity are lost when batteries fail mid-shift. So like if you're utilizing it and you got a battery failure, it takes 74 minutes of productivity loss to do something about that, right? So they got to take it back. They got
an hour plus
exactly
of not being able to scan in boxes or not being able to print receipts, not being able to something or other. Like
exactly,
that's a lot of time to lose.
A lot of time
in a high capacity, quick moving facility.
There you go. So. Right. So anyway,
I believe you guys opened up your warehouse, but with an extra whatever, I don't know, another half a mile. Yeah. Right. So if one of your techs grabs a battery and goes the 2 miles or whatever it is down the road there, that certainly does increase the time. One of the things I wanted to mention too is when I said cradle to grave, when a battery is fully depleted, a lot of companies just throw them into a barrel or just put them in a box under the counter. And that's such a dangerous thing because the terminals can touch and start a fire. We've seen fires. I think there was a FedEx truck in Ohio that caught fire because it had old batteries in it and they rubbed together and a lithium fire is not a pretty sight. And I mean, it's black smoke and nasty things. So, yeah. And just to bring up another point, I've talked with firemen who have said, we put 80,000 gallons of water on this car fire to put it out. And they said it was an awful waste. I said, well, don't you know that you don't put water on a depleted battery? It's going to cause a fire, a short circuit. So, part of the whole package is education. This is not like your AAA battery. It's not measured the same way, and our chemical polarization tester is proof of that. We're here to help people, to educate them, and the grave part of it is that we'll take batteries back. We do have a recycling program that we can initiate if there's a messy warehouse somewhere and you're tripping over batteries. It's a bad scene. So just raise your hand and we'll come out.
No, that's another service that the resellers can provide, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and proper disposal of these batteries. I mean, it's all part of the plan. It should be.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about custom battery manufacturing because, like Dean, this was not something I was particularly aware of.
No.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, I guess, if you think about it. But how often does that kind of need arise? And maybe give us some insight on maybe some projects you've done where people have needed a custom battery for some reason.
Sure. Custom batteries is a big marketplace out there. And one example that comes to mind is without giving names, they have a conveyor set up, a roller conveyor set up that they roll a cart up and down. And on this cart was a well-known product made by a scanner company that hangs on that cart. And as it goes by a certain location, they will, based on what they're told to do, they pick out 2 or 3 or 4 bottles of this item and a package of this and a package of this. They put it on the cart and it goes on down the line. Well, the scanning device was not running the full 8-hour shift plus they wanted. So that's a problem because now they have to take it off the cart and go back to this central location. And you guys have got the idea about it. This is where the timing comes in and all the productivity losses because the operator has to walk to a certain central location and get another one, come back, hang it on the cart, plug it in, do all the cabling and so forth, and then start the process again. That cart just sits there. It doesn't move. So now you've lost a lot of productivity. So they came to us looking for a custom battery to essentially be an accessory to this scanner device. So we came up with a device that also hangs on the cart. We also came up with the charger, and now they were getting 2 days of runtime, and not just 2 8-hour days. This is 2 full days of runtime. They were extremely happy with that. So their productivity gains, I mean, just went out of the sky because of that, and all because of a custom battery that we hang with the device and we plug it in. Another one has been with the cart battery. They came to us and they wanted to run a computer screen, a camera, a light, and other devices. So by the time they got done with it, they wanted 5 different devices to be hung off this cart.
And may I say there was more than one company as well, that
Right.
more than one manufacturer. And I love to jump in on this because I kind of dubbed the whole effort is the cable had 5 different ends on it, so I called it the Medusa cable, and it connected to lithium phosphate batteries that Danny's team put regulators on and whatever else gadgets. Sorry, Danny, not exact, but
the key there was the 5. The Medusa cable had many outputs with voltages and current draws. So go ahead, Bob. Bob, sorry.
The point being that anything is possible, and if people are aware of that, they might say, "Well, what if I do this, or what if I do that?" There's another company that's looking at scanning shelves. We've seen robots in grocery stores, but this particular application is where the employees are going out and picking product off the shelves for delivery or for curbside pickup. And while that is happening, they're not wasting their time going up that aisle. They are recording what the inventory is. And that is an application that was brought to us, and we're providing the power for that. So there's a powerful light, and I think at least 4 cameras that assess the entire inventory and report it to an AI system so that
ordering is kind of automated.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's change the subject one bit to chargers. We also manufacture chargers, and we have a concept called a modular charger that, if you go into an operation, they tend to have 3 and 4 and 5 different devices in there. And that means you have 3, 4, or 5 different OEM chargers sitting around. Those all could be combined into a modular charger, whereas now you've got the capability to mix and match your chargers so that as you maybe bring on a new device, you add a cup, or if you eliminate a device, you take out that cup and put in another one. So you have modularity in your chargers, and also that means you never have to buy another power supply.
Nice.
For your charger.
Dude,
which obviously saves money.
There's that word modularity again.
Yeah,
it's a popular word. Yeah. No, that's awesome though. That's a good value add, right?
Yes, it is.
Yep, for sure.
We're hitting all the good
not
stuff.
Not only but modular batteries, but you also have modular chargers.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're hitting all of our favorite things. We've got modularity, recurring revenue,
yes, right?
Value adds. Come on,
hey.
This is what the TEConnect podcast is all about.
Yes,
so.
That's right.
All right. Well, hey, this has been great stuff, and we're going to come back in a moment and let you talk a little bit more about what GTS offers out there. Make sure that everyone is aware of how you can help them go out and win some business. Mm-hmm. But first, as always, we want to thank our sponsors here on the TEConnect podcast.
Yes.
We very much appreciate everyone that sponsors our TEConnect program, the podcast directly as well. We would not be able to do this without your support. We just had our 200th episode last week, and we're we're planning another go for at least another 100 or 200.
Sure, absolutely.
Well. Why
2,
not?
3, 4, whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, but hey, if you like the show, this is an important thing, though. If you've we've been doing this for 200 episodes,
Yes.
but we don't get a lot of people telling us what they really want on the show sometimes.
Right.
And I
We
think
need
that could
feedback.
be, yeah,
Yep.
if we're going to do another 200, we got to have.
Yeah, you got to participate.
Yeah,
You being the audience.
We've got to
right?
have some feedback from some folks. So reach out to us. Let us know what you want to hear about on the show. If there's any part of this conversation you want us to do a deeper dive into when it comes to battery health, we're always happy to do that. If there's topics we just haven't touched upon yet, if there's new tech you want us to dive into, let us know. You can always find a link in our show notes. Go down there and fill that out and let us know what you want to hear about. Just for doing so, we will send you a TEConnect podcast t-shirt. By the way,
I just got mine.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, they just came in.
The new
Yes.
t-shirts are officially out and available. Big thanks to Marco for getting those.
Marco doesn't have his yet.
well,
I see. Well, it's here.
Well, it's good. Next time you're back in the office, tell Angie, she'll get you one. So those are finally available. So for those of you that I owe one, they are on the way. But send an idea into us, and we'll be happy to send one out to you as well. Of course, like and subscribe the show, whatever platform you're on. If there's an opportunity to review, to leave a rating, please do that. It's a great way to get us out there, and also just recommend the show to folks.
There you go.
If you liked what you heard about today, send this out to someone and say, hey, I recommend you check out this particular episode. Finally, if you ever want to reach out to us directly, you can find us on BlueStar's Facebook. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can also email us directly, TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, let's wrap up today. We'll start with a little VAR value here.
Yes.
And like I said, I think you guys have made a pretty good case for what GTS can do with batteries and helping out our VARs along the way here. But let's maybe distill that down a little bit and talk about, for anyone who is a little bit more unfamiliar with what you do, give them maybe a short overview of some of your key products and services. Tell us a little bit about how you are going to help VARs go out there, have these conversations, get some recurring revenue, do a little bit of maybe customization projects as well.
Well, if I may, I would say that one of the most important things out there for us right now is that end users or VARs ask for GTS, because we don't necessarily have a full inventory. We have over 400 items in our inventory, and you take the biggest sellers, and that's stands to reason. But we do have other batteries, and if your BlueStar rep will call us, we can give you an idea. We can drop ship, and that's been an important factor, that we support you guys more so than just these services that we provide. So I just like to keep that as a ask for GTS. We put that on your microsite too. So that's kind of the theme of the year.
There you go.
And as far as services that GTS offers, first of all, we will do what we call test and replace. We will go into customers' facilities, test their batteries with our app, replace those batteries with new batteries, or just mark them. That's a service that we offer. It's of minimal charge, and it, of course, restores the health of that battery fleet. We also do what we call power by the hour. If people want to rent batteries, and we need to work through the different situations, but we offer power by the hour, where we will rent batteries and charge them a monthly fee for the use of that battery. At the end of life, we basically just take it back. We do custom batteries for people. Like I mentioned before, there's many applications out there where people need something more than what the typical device manufacturers sell. They need more capacity, they need longevity, they need a different configuration or footprint, they need to hang it onto a cart, whatever that case might be. That's a custom design that we offer to people. We also offer the third-party legacy products that we have redesigned, added new capacity, made sure that it was safe. We may add gold contacts or something of that nature for a wet environment. We'll make it more ruggedized so that it can pass 26 drops plus onto the floor or run over by a forklift. Any of those things we can do from a custom standpoint. So that's kind of like that. That's GTS. And then we do offer a lot of products for OEM. OEMs come to us. They want to design a charger or a battery pack, and we will do that for them. We're currently working on a large battery now for a portable refrigeration unit, which is a huge battery. But anyway, those are the kinds of things that we get involved with.
Very nice. Yep.
That's good.
See, the business just keeps growing.
Yeah.
Batteries aren't going away.
Yeah, I think this is your port of call here to tell people to go out and start having some conversations about batteries, start asking some questions, and then if you need help, reach out to us at BlueStar, and we'll introduce you to the fine folks over at GTS.
I mean, Danny, we're not at risk here of having like little pocket nuclear generators that are going to replace battery technology anytime soon, right? So batteries are.
Some point in time, yes, but not in the next couple of weeks.
All right, fair enough.
I don't think GTS is sweating that just yet.
No, not yet. Yeah,
I think that's
no
gonna
fear.
Be, and probably if we do reach that point, they'll probably be selling that stuff.
That's
too,
right.
so.
That's right. Yeah,
we're all thinking about it though.
That's right.
That's right. You got to keep it in mind at least. Yeah. All right.
Sure.
Let's wrap up as always with what's TEConnecting with you. This is our favorite segment where we get to talk about something fun in the world of technology, science, business, innovation, just something that we feel like chatting about today.
There you go.
So I'll let you guys kick it off. Rob, what's TEConnecting with you right now?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a story from Danny. He happens to be fortunate and have 4 Corvettes. And I said, "Do you drive these a lot?" "Yeah, I do." He took one out, and it stalled out on him. The battery was dead. So a guy came along with actually a lithium phosphate battery based unit. I think they're all over the place now. I think if you look on any of the what do you call it, TikTok, and they're selling these things, and they're not that expensive, but his car started right away. So it's a good thing, and the sky is the limit, because I've come to Danny's team with what ifs, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. So it's just something to keep in mind. You can be a value add plus.
Yeah. Phosphate, lithium chemistry, and phosphate is the latest and the greatest. It has allowed a tremendous boom in the battery application and usage, just because it's safer than lithium ion. It has more watt hour density and what have you that you can package well, and you can put these things into a large stream of series cells, and like Rob said, it has instantaneous power. What we actually tried to jump my car and it would not even turn over, whereas the guy came over with this lithium starter and connected it, and it started right up and ran. So the instant power that you can get out of these things is tremendous. So it has allowed numerous applications to basically flourish. And if you just look at the lawn and garden, you've got electric lawnmowers now. You've got electric weed blowers and things of that, leaf blowers and things of that nature that wasn't around 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something amazing about the lithium phosphate as well is the lifespan. I believe it's 5 years, Danny?
It's up to 2,000 cycles. And Dakota Lithium, and I like Dakota Lithium. I'll put a plug in for them. They're warranting those batteries up to 11 years.
Jeez Louise.
Wow.
There you go.
Unbelievable what you can get.
That's crazy.
I just saw one of those ads on TikTok actually.
Oh, really?
Days ago. Yeah, somebody it's one of those ones where they play it off like it's a normal video of somebody like trying to help someone out because their truck stalled or whatever, and then you realize like, oh no, this is actually a product ad. Like this, they're trying to sell something here.
How sneaky, yeah.
Danny, you got anything else that's TEConnecting with you?
Well, I was going to say another application that we've kind of looked at is for exoskeletons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And if you could visualize a small battery that might be attached to your person somewhere that could help you step or push you into a step, or if you have a handicap, it might help you overcome that. It might help you pick up your legs to take a step. And if you go to some of the trade shows, you see these apparatuses strapped to people's backs that cannot pick up this weight of an object. With that object on your back, now it's just easy to move it around. It's just unbelievable to see this. And then, of course, the robots that's out there with of course, batteries inside them. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, we're very interested in robots. I love the exoskeleton
Yeah,
stuff.
that's pretty cool. As someone who
someday I'm
loves
going to
them-
be like the Terminator because I've got this exoskeleton. I can just lift Herculean pounds.
I think I've asked you this before. Have you seen the movie Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise?
You were just talking about that. I haven't rewatched. I haven't watched it
There's
yet.
they like fight in like exos.
Oh, they have scoots?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
And they're jumping around
Always reminds
probably.
me of that. Yeah, like you can really do some amazing stuff with them.
Jump a tall building at no problem.
They're not quite that amazing, but
but pretty cool.
Pretty proficient when you're fighting aliens, I guess. So, all right, what's TEConnecting with you, man?
Well, the march to defeat cancer rolls on. So I was just drawn into this particular article, and the headline is: Engineers develop nanorobots capable of killing cancer cells in mouse studies. The approach uses a quote-unquote kill switch that activates only in the presence of a solid tumor. So this whole what they've done, this institute, the Karolinska Institute, which I believe is in Switzerland, has developed these nanorobots. So what is it? It's the art of building kind of this nanoscale structure using DNA as building materials in creating these DNA origamis. Have you started to hear about these like things that can unfold on a nanoscale? Anyway, that's what they're utilizing, but it gets into pH balance and some really heady stuff that's not, way over my head. But at the end of the road, what they've engineered is this ability for these nanocells or nanostructures within these things to attack only tumor cells based on, their reaction to the pH that is happening on a tumor, as opposed to a healthy cell. So it doesn't attack the healthy cells. They're using these origami DNA structures to only attack tumors. And they've had tremendous success doing it. So it's just another, you think about cancer, it's like one of those things that we're going to defeat it someday. I don't know if it's here or somewhere else, or maybe a combination of stuff, but stuff like that is cool. Yeah. What's happening in like nanotechnology? Yeah. Well, Danny lives in that world, I guess, all day long with, batteries and nanotechnology, but it's pretty cool stuff that's happening there.
So
anyway, what's TEConnecting with you,
my friend? Let's get one step closer there. All right. Are any of you guys NASCAR fans at all? No, not necessarily.
Well, Danny's got 4 Corvettes.
That's a good point. Yeah, he probably has watched a race or two.
NASCAR thing.
I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan. I had a girlfriend years ago who was a huge NASCAR fan, mostly because I think she was in love with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh, okay, right.
And I tried to get into it, just couldn't. But I did see an interesting article that caught my attention because whenever I see interesting stuff about NASCAR, it still triggers that in my mind.
Gotcha.
Apparently, during the Chicago street race, which
I did watch some of that.
Say as of this release has been a few weeks ago, I think, when that aired, but they rolled out a prototype NASCAR EV.
Oh, whoa.
So this was a collaboration with a Swedish firm named ABB. It features 3 electric motors, 1 in the front and 2 in the back.
All right.
Cost $1.25 million. Oof. And apparently they actually had a NASCAR racer try it out on a speedway. I think it was one of the speedways in Virginia.
Okay.
He said it was only about 0.2 of a second slower than a standard NASCAR vehicle, like as far as like how fast you could finish a lap and the typical lap finishes there. But did note that obviously the weight, because that's where batteries always come in, the big batteries in EVs, that the weight slowed it down a little bit during the turns. Now, NASCAR is not necessarily looking to like go all EV. They have apparently expressed an interest in introducing more hybrid vehicles into the actual NASCAR racing.
I see.
But their expectation is that apparently this is happening in Formula One, where they've got an all EV race set now or whatever, and a grouping of vehicles that are out there just all EV, and that they might do something like that in the future, like maybe have a separate mini league that's all EV vehicles that are doing this. So
interesting, right?
Interesting stuff. It looks cool. It's one of those things like you look at it, you're like, man, that's a cool looking vehicle.
And quiet.
I was going to say
exactly.
That.
Yeah.
And also probably safer because if you don't have the fuel.
Exactly.
Fair.
Yeah, you flip it over and like not as likely of everything to go bursting into flames in an instant there. And to the sound part, I think would be interesting too, because I went to the Indy 500 once. I think I only lasted maybe like an hour before I left. It wasn't as exciting as I hoped it would be. But man, the noise, being in the stands and listening to that, I mean, it's got to be I think it'd be pretty cool to go to an all EV race and hear what that sounds like.
Well,
so.
I mean, it would be different.
Maybe
It's got to be different.
Hear more of the crowd roar than you hear of the vehicles necessarily. Yeah, but I suppose also that maybe that's part of the appeal. That I know some people like the sound of the vehicles.
Oh, absolutely! Start your engines would have a completely different connotation. Yeah, it's like
exactly. Plug in your batteries.
We're already started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Hey, Danny, are you going to EV one of those Corvettes, or are we going to keep the V8 engines in those bad boys?
I'll probably just keep them stocked.
There you go.
Understandable.
Yeah.
All right, that is what's Tech Connecting with us. Danny Rockett, Rob Cass, thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thanks,
we
guys.
appreciated having you on the show. Hey, it is time for us, unfortunately, to unplug. But until next time, go out and talk to your customers about battery health.
There you go.
And whatever you do, watch out for rapid disassembly.
Yes.
And as always, folks, please stay connected. TEConnect Podcast is brought to you by ELO and the 7-inch ELO Pay integrated payment POS system. ELO Pay packs all the power you need to run your point of sale, complete with a 7-inch HD touch display, integrated payment, Android 12 OS, and Qualcomm SD660 processor. The compact enterprise-grade terminal delivers the modularity that merchants require. You can dock it to a printer stand, place it on the counter, or integrate it into the Z70 stand. Dean, have you actually seen one of these?
Holy moly, I have.
I just got to see one.
And?
Sam was getting ready to record an unbox video,
Oh, right.
which I'll drop the link to that in the notes, too,
Yeah.
if it's out by this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I didn't expect it to look like this. It's just a cool, little smooth,
Yes,
like,
sexy,
neat-
sleek.
yeah.
Yes.
It's one of those cool things that if I saw
The
it at a restaurant, I'd be
design
like, "Oh, you guys are awesome!"
Yeah.
You know, like, this place is cool.
This is not Bush League. No, this is, you guys got your stuff together.
I'm
That's
easily
right.
impressed, obviously. Well, ELO Pay offers comprehensive payment services that enable merchants to process transactions with confidence, with access to multiple payment applications, end-to-end encryption, secure tokenization, robust terminal management services, and easy-to-use APIs for quick integration. Merchants can get started quickly and securely, allowing their customers to, say it with me, dip, tap, and swipe
There it is. Your favorite.
physical cards
Yes.
or contacts. I also challenged Sam to come up with a TikTok dance for that. Like I figured them.
We're still waiting.
Maybe I'll get Sarah Schluter in on that too.
Absolutely.
Like, our younger generation should come up with some kind of a,
Yeah.
ELO, if you want that,
Dip, tap,
we can
swag.
make that happen. We can,
it's
we could go viral with this.
Yes, it's there.
This could
it's
be
there for the
this
taking.
could be the new dance trend
Yes.
that takes the internet by storm for like a week. ELO View device management, Essential Edge enterprise support, and ELO Care protection. The ELO Pay 7-inch POS system is ready to deliver on your customers' needs. Contact the BlueStar ELO team to learn more.